What'd you do on Twitter?
Yeah, I was going to say, they've already seen it.
Well, just be prepared for some saltiness.
Would you like to address that first?
No, I mean, let's answer questions. I mean, I'm happy to answer any questions that might exist out there, but yeah, I mean, let's dive in. Obviously, first off, I'm super happy that everyone that's joined us can join us, especially those like on the East Coast or even in Europe, right, where it's kind of not an opportune time frame for the AMA. Going forward, we're going to kind of mix it up a little bit so that there's some that can be better accommodating for for different time zones. Other than that, I'm super pleased everyone's here and super excited to chat about what's going on.
Great. And I've got a bunch of questions printed that they've been asking throughout the week. I could start with those. The last question on this list is, of course, the whole tweet thing. So I asked if you wanted to do that first, but we can get to it later.
No, we can do it. I think a specific question might be good.
Did you say the first question or that question?
I mean, look, we like wax. I think William Quigley, if you do your research, has an incredibly extensive career, not only in off-chain virtual goods, but in on-chain NFTs. He's built his own blockchain that was a fork of EOS. Wax has developed a platform that has an incredibly high throughput. They are champions of the notion that it's far cooler to sell 1 million NFTs for $1 than sell one NFT for $1 million. And we have to echo that same sentiment because, what are we here doing? Are we building, the next, extreme luxury fashion brand that's inaccessible to 99% of the world, or are we making something that's inclusive? So what happened, for those that aren't aware, is William Quigley, who sort of heads up Wax, I guess you could call him the co-founder and inventor of Wax, who also has an extensive experience in this space that's worth doing your research on, just to prove that he kind of knows what he's talking about. Did an interview that was posted on social media maybe 5 or 6 hours ago. In the interview, he mentioned a couple companies in the space. He mentioned us. I would say maybe the mention was mixed, but yet here we are. We're still here. And what happened was that that video got a lot of sort of uptake on social, and some of the arguments that he's making are really not dumb arguments. And we felt it incumbent to address the mention that was made of us, right? We didn't start this, right? And then also sort of echo our support for the sentiment. And what's kind of very coincidental about the whole thing is we put the tweet out about tonight's AMA topics, right? We're going to talk about real NFTs. We're going to talk about the final. It's basically 7 features to be built to open up mintables for general availability. And then we'll talk about burning. But actually, that topic went out even before we became aware of this video with William Quigley that was mentioning Wax and somebody else and mentioned us. So it's kind of curious because it's all like in the ether. But again, we felt we should address it. So I guess that's the context, right? There's a lot of specifics that go into it, which I'd be happy to address. I don't know, Spider, if there's any comments that go into that. Otherwise, I can kind of wax, no pun intended, on about it further. But for those that aren't aware, there's effectively a social media sort of dust up where we were mentioned, somebody else was mentioned in a YouTube video, and there was a sentiment, frankly, mentioned in that video that's worth sort of echoing. And we felt it necessary to make a mention on social media of, kind of what's right. So I'll leave it at that. Are there any other, maybe Jules or Spider, there's something close to that?
That was the only question, just what was happening. And I don't see anything popping up in that just yet, unless, there's a bunch of people typing. So if I don't see anything else, I'll just go on with the rest of the questions.
Well, let me quickly address it because we actually teed it up in Twitter. This idea of real NFTs.
Okay.
What's sort of scary about this space is NFTs as an asset class are growing dramatically in value, right? I think one of the hallmarks of what's happening in NFTs more broadly is they're just valued at incredibly high price points. Now, that is, either an achievement or it's also a potential problem, in the sense that what you have is millions of people that are viewing this thing as incredibly valuable, and it is incredibly valuable because it's you've got actual transactions in an aftermarket and clearing prices, which are a truer sense of value, are the real signal of its worth as opposed to a coordinated floor price. But as that number creeps up, it is a problem. It is a problem because these objects no longer become fun little playthings. They no longer become, objects in a game. They no longer become items that you just cherish emotionally. They become, objects that you prescribe a value to. And in some cases, there are some places where things aren't really NFTs, and the value of those has been put to the moon, and yet the sort of security and peace of mind that should come with having something worth that much money actually isn't guaranteed, or doesn't exist, or actually isn't in place, and probably will never be in place. So as this industry grows, there is kind of there's a right way to do things and a wrong way to do things. And there's an approach where you call anything an NFT, or you're actually quite specific about like the nutrition label of what an NFT is and what it actually means. And you hold yourself to high standards. And what's curious about the case is it's kind of an industry-wide thing. And so with Quidd, we could probably be criticized, and rightly so, for taking our time to get into NFTs. And that's sort of a fair criticism. And we rightly accept it. But what we've never done is said something's an NFT when it's not truly an NFT. Right? And with our Mintables approach, you're not going to wind up just trading receipts. Right? You're not going to wind up closed into a walled-off garden. Right? Where a transaction record is on chain, but really the object itself, the metadata, the media, is locked up, and both locked up by a platform, a service provider, and a content owner. Right. So I guess what I'm saying is it's problematic for the space that the term NFT is diluted. It's also problematic for the space that is a label that is essentially slapped on an object that fundamentally actually has a different sort of bill of rights about its ownership than traditional virtual items that exist centralized. So I think I don't think Wax was the first. I don't think they're the second. I don't think we're the third to start to sort of call into question this very notion. In Quidd's own individual case, before we even contemplated the blockchain, we kind of felt the burden about what was happening on our own platform, which was at the time incredibly centralized and still is very centralized. In that, we've had collectors that have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars for their collectibles. The idea that those couldn't be family heirlooms that they could pass down to their kids and grandkids, the idea that they didn't have a certain set of protections to preserve that item actually became a problem. And this was a problem that occurred for us really in 2018, 2019, before really the second wave of the NFT boom. So I guess in a lot of ways, we've been through a lot of cycles. We've lived through a lot. We've had one foot firmly planted in the world of virtual items, and another, obviously, with the world of blockchain. But there is a concern. There is a concern as this space sort of heats up that people aren't checking what's underneath the hood to understand what they're really getting. And that especially becomes a concern when you've got individuals talking about on Twitter that they're going to, buy the second home in a Lambo because of an object that, for better or for worse from what we've seen, is actually fairly constrained and is actually pretty illiquid. And so, yeah, there's just some things you do that are right and wrong. And there's some, sort of perspectives we have in the space where we feel strongly about. And I think what happened on Twitter was a bit of a kind of a display of that.
Okay. Sounds good to me. Go ahead
All
with
right,
the rest
what
of
else?
the questions now.
Let's do some fun questions. Yeah.
A lot of people were asking when we'd be on blockchain coming in now.
So we just did R2 and we're onto R3 right now. I'm going to pull up the list of R3 and I'm going to read it out because the list is quite literally a series of tickets that we've created where we've said, to be very honest, we've said this kind of has to be guaranteed in order to open up general availability for minting. And when we say general availability for minting, it's the first chain's Ethereum. But the second chain could very well be Flow, Wax, Polygon, Solana. I mean, we are ruthlessly multi-chain. But basically, here is the list of sort of feature areas that need to be in place before we feel comfortable effectively opening up the floodgates for not only the mintables that are mintables in the app, but the more mintables to come in the app and through separate launches to putting them on chain and really to your chain of choice. So the first is aggregators. It's really important that we figure out in the smart contract code and in partnership with certain services like CryptoSlam and like DApp Radar that when you mint, the record of that mint and the life of that post-minted NFT is properly aggregated on those service providers. You have to do certain things to make sure you can be sucked in that environment. So one is aggregators. The next one is around sales history. There's a lot of life to these items that exist on Quidd, and that has to be written on chain, right? So we've already figured out a way to enshrine both the print date and the mint date and the edition and the print number and the print count into the metadata when it goes on chain. There's a few other steps we have to do and take in order to make sure that effectively the record of the life of the digital collectible on Quidd can be transferred in the minting process into the NFT. And as much as we can have, as much as we can live on chain. The next is really marketplaces, right? I mean, we're OpenSea's phenomenal, Rareble's phenomenal on predominantly on Ethereum. It's incredibly important that the look and feel of your object is not compromised in its migration from off-chain to on-chain, right? And if you've watched the videos right now, the one-of-one Donna Bailey trading card from Atari actually doesn't surface its card back, right? And actually the card back has a cute little sort of vignette about sort of her legendary status in the video game industry, right? But in the minting process, you get the card front, not the card back. So it's really important to us that we can effectively preserve the state of the artwork of the collectible as it moves from off-chain to on-chain. And that state has to be recognized on the leading marketplaces. Like, because what good is on-chain interoperability if you have some hobbled version of your item, right? Like, if it looks good in Quidd, it's got to look good when it winds up on-chain, on Rarible, on OpenSea, on other marketplaces. Same could be said for Decentraland or for Sandbox, right? So it's important that it's not interoperability of a record of ownership. It's also interoperability and compatibility of the media type itself. Not to get too wonky on you guys. The next one is just, it has to look cool. That's kind of related to the other point. But we really want to ensure that when you mint, the object you have post-mint just looks really cool, right? Same object, right? But we want it to look really cool when you list it on OpenSea, or simply when you want to enjoy it in your MetaMask wallet. There's a few other things, but there's one. It's important to sort out royalties, right? A big promise that a lot of folks on the sort of consumption side of the business might not be aware of is royalties theoretically can be provided to the content owner and the licensor into perpetuity. This idea of the American Tobacco Company still benefiting from sales of a Honus Wagner card that's over 100 years old. That's incredibly compelling. And frankly, that's compelling for collectors too. It would be as if for every trading card sale on eBay that happens today, Topps or Panini made a little bit of money, even if they hadn't, even if the item was 10 years old. Same to be said for the licensors that sit behind them. That as a promise is groundbreaking, right? But it's really important to make sure that that works so that when an item's minted and it persists on chain and can be transacted on third-party marketplaces, regardless of the chain, that the flow through of revenue participation can exist for licensors. And I know it sounds like overly commercial, but the reason that's really important is actually incentives. Not to display too much of our hand, but when you're selling sort of fixed assets versus widgets, and you can participate in aftermarket sales of them, I would actually argue you approach new drops differently. I know that sounds very wonky and very abstract, but I think what I would say is if Topps could make a percentage of a sale of a baseball card they sold 15 years ago, they would have a strong incentive to not saturate the market and not do things that create a sense of oversupply, which in our research, in our conversations, actually pisses off collectors. Collectors don't want to buy something and then have this fear that something substantially similar and potentially rarer is going to be released the next week, right? This constant collecting treadmill where you buy something and it was cool in February, but something actually cooler and more rare comes out in April. Like, that's not great for the person that bought in February. And so it's really important that that is resolved and fixed, and that can be fixed by really ensuring the proper flow of royalties that exist when the item goes from off-chain to on-chain. There's another component, which is a bit technical, but for those that don't know, our engineering team has built, I think, a first-of-its-kind solution, where if you're a Quidd collector and you have a mintable and you've created a crypto wallet, let's say on MetaMask, right, that you're going to mint into, we've designed it in such a way you do not have to pay gas fees. We will pay those gas fees on your behalf. We will have a reserve of ETH where we will pay them, and then some portion of that gas fee we may or may not pass on to the collector by debiting their cash wallet. We like to think we are a wonderful front door for normal people like us to get into the world of NFTs, real NFTs that are in your custody, that are stored on chain, and that you have full interoperability and portability with. We're a great front door to that, and we can be an even better front door if in our minting solution, we're able to remove steps. And so for those of our community that's really, started to do the work and sort of seen where we're going and, gotten the crypto wallet and associated with their Quidd account, right? You might know that it is a pain in the neck to basically start, let's say, minting with your MetaMask wallet address. You have to pay for the gas fee, and so you have to hold ETH. And if you're in the US, how do you get ETH? It's not necessarily easy, right? It usually involves going to an exchange like Coinbase, creating an account. There may be a KYC process that takes place to verify your identity. Then from there, you have to actually get money into your exchange wallet. So you have to do an ACH transfer from your bank account. Then you have to spend that money to buy cryptocurrency. Then you take the cryptocurrency and send it to your MetaMask wallet, which is your full custodial wallet that you have. That's a lot of steps that takes days, potentially, and it's kind of scary. We've condensed all of that basically into an incredibly novel technical solution that lets somebody make their first mint of a true NFT, a real NFT, without having to first hold ETH and pay the gas fees. That's pretty cool, we think. We'll talk more about that in the future, but I think that's novel and doesn't get enough attention. And when we open up minting to general availability, I think people will see really the power of that. It's basically a real NFT, but with a significant number of steps that are sort of removed or condensed or compressed or done on your behalf to help you get your first real NFT. So it's not a custodial wallet. It's a real NFT, and it's in your control, and it's on chain. But we really help you get there by taking out not only a lot of steps, but scary steps. So in any event, if you're awake and you still followed all that, which I'd be surprised if you did, there are maybe for those engineers out there that sort of followed along, we could open up minting like tomorrow, right? Except everything I've listed here is just another turn of the crank in order to make general availability of minting first to Ethereum, then potentially Flow, Wax, Polygon, we'll see, to make it real, to make it seamless, to make it easy, to disclose what you're doing, to educate you on what you're doing, right, and why. We just need a matter of weeks, not 2 weeks, also not 10 weeks, in order to put that in place. So at scale, we can take no coiners, right? We can take our collector base we love, who joined us years ago before NFTs existed, and help walk them through at scale, efficiently and seamlessly into making their first NFT. So it's been slower than I would like. There's no doubt about that. But I think honestly, like this like 5 or 6 or 7 point plan to get to that general availability is like, it's really compelling, I think, because the word mint, the word gas fee, the word crypto wallet, let's be honest, those are scary. There are components of a real NFT that are scary. I think what you'll find is we'll be greatly benefited by taking the extra work to wrap a lot of that up into a metaphor that the average person like you and me can understand. And again, we'll go back to it. Like, it's one thing to say you're going to bring 1 billion people to the blockchain. It's another thing to do the hard work, right? To make understanding the blockchain, simple and easy and valuable, right? For the average person. So I think we're going to do the hard work. I think it'll turn out great. I think that it'll be like an industry first in terms of how you can make a real NFT, but make it very understandable as you do it, which, to my opening comments, is very different from having a very centralized off-chain collectible and just calling it an NFT. We're doing the opposite. We're doing the real NFT, but we're going to make it super simple and super easy to make it happen. Okay, I probably said enough about that.
Somebody had asked, does this apply to all NFTs on Quidd? Is there confirmation that we can mint Disney and My Little Pony, for example, even though they aren't mintable yet? Will they all be on the blockchain?
There is absolute, here's what I'll say, there's zero confirmation. Disney items are digital collectibles on Quidd that are stored on AWS. Until we're able to make progress or not, that's what they'll be, right? But there is an ever-growing list of our partners and licensors in the industry that are becoming more and more familiar with NFTs and more accepting of them. And what I don't mean is calling something that's not an NFT an NFT. We don't stand for that. What I do mean is this idea of when you sell a digital object, you're transferring true digital property rights to that owner, right? That's what we're finding. There's a much bigger appetite for with the licensor and the content audience. This is an incredibly important point. Are you trading receipts on the blockchain, or are you owning the thing on the blockchain for the rest of your life? That's a very important difference. And what is so exciting about where we are is the latter is getting much more traction. The more conversations that we have. But the one thing we're not going to mislead, right? If you can't put it on the blockchain right now, it's not going to have a mintable label on it. Full stop. If something is a mintable and doesn't have a mintable label, it means it's been minted and it's an NFT, and you can link out to Etherscan or BSC scan or whatever explorer there is out there to see it on chain. You also know it's in your wallet, not a custodial wallet. It's in your wallet in MetaMask, and it's probably on OpenSea, and it's probably on Rarible. So the good news is, I think the industry overall is waking up to the fact that the most important person in this equation, the most important entity in this equation, which is the collector, is demanding these rights. If one is going to spend that much money to build a collection, it is unconscionable. Sorry, it's not right in order to not give them the sort of true digital property rights that need to exist and that can only be guaranteed with real NFTs. So we're not going to make a statement about what might be an NFT in the future, but what we'll always commit to is that if it doesn't have that mintable label, like literally by nature and contract and law and programming, like it's not that yet. I hope that makes sense.
I think everybody really happy with all your explanations. I'm not really seeing a whole lot of questions revolving around this. So if you want me to move on to the ones that have been asked all week.
Let's do it.
All
Let's
right.
do the weekly ones.
First one was, will we ever see something like Burger Wars again, except for with cash checklists instead of coins?
Yes, we will. We love Burger Wars. I think Burger Wars was the first of its kind.
I think so too.
Burger Wars was like a heck of a lot of fun. It was a different cut of a collecting metagame, as we call it internally. I think people really enjoyed the hell out of it. I also think, let's be honest, what it did for a lot of holders of Bob's Burgers was it created liquidity, right? It created a bit of a spike of interest in a pool of vintage inventory, right? That actually gave sellers an opportunity to sell into that market. It was almost like we kind of organized a farmer's market. There's somebody far smarter than me on our team that made that analogy, where he said, it's kind of like you can sort of organize a Saturday farmer's market. And by the point of making it an event, you can actually bring suppliers and consumers together and get this fun burst of liquidity. So we love Burger Wars. Burger Wars is a ton of fun. The only reason we haven't done it yet is we're basically doubling the team. And the team that will run future Burger Wars is sort of just being put in place right now. So you could either take my promise of more Burger Wars, or you could take my excitement for how interesting and fun and compelling Burger Wars was in the past as your answer. But just know I'm literally giddy about Burger Wars. I don't shut up about it internally. I think it's so freaking cool, and I think we'll find a way to do more of that, at scale in the future with more enticing rewards. Maybe store credits as rewards, maybe straight up amazing real NFTs as rewards. But we loved it, and I think just as a shout out to the community, what made that so fun was we got Bob's Burgers collectors to participate, right? And that's the other cool component of this, is it was a community-driven event. We just sprinkled some things on there, and then the community really made it as awesome as it was. So net Burger Wars was awesome. I love it too much to not want to do more of it more frequently.
Have our first Veve troll.
Bring it. No, it's okay. Anyway.
Happy with us, I guess. Okay. You're probably tired of hearing this, but is minting coming out this month? Are market conditions delaying the release date? I don't know if you actually
market conditions definitely are not. That's not really a factor in how we operate. There's very little that we do that's timed to market conditions. And I think broadly, if you're going to participate in the Quidd community, like, maybe I shouldn't say this publicly, but like our goal is just to be really warm for a really long time. We don't want to be hot and flame out. We don't want to be, the interesting thing du jour and spike and then go back down. Our goal is to build this thing slowly, steadily, and for the right reasons. Right. And so very little of what we do is timed to market conditions, right? We just don't operate that way. We maybe we're better off if we did, but that's just not how we operate. We have a plan, we stick to the plan, we build it, we think it's right, we do what's right, and that's kind of it. As for mintables, probably rewind the recording, because there was like 5 or 6 things we listed out. Where we are right now, very, very transparently, is it's those 5 or 6 things we have to get right. It's very tactically and simply, like, card backs don't show up when we mint to OpenSea. Right? There's a lot of cool stuff on the back of a card that has to be preserved and sort of make it through that minting transformation. And so there's a list of these 5 or 6 things that we just got to build. Good news is the building already started. The good news is the way to build it out, which is a lot of novel tech. I mean, there's a lot of invention happening here, is pretty known, and it doesn't feel like there's any blockers. So what I would say is, we call it internally general availability for minting, which at a minimum means anyone who has a connected crypto wallet address with their Quidd account. So if you don't, this is a PSA for setting up a MetaMask wallet, getting your first crypto wallet, and integrating it with Quidd. For anyone that has that set up, if you own a mintable, you'll be able en masse, when you want, how you want, to bring it on-chain to Ethereum and take it off-chain back to Quidd. So again, I think we're weeks away. I don't think we're months away, but I will say we're not days away. This isn't an imminent thing that I would tease. What's positive about it, again, is the scope has been defined to something that is an experience we really like, and how to build it is very knowable and doable. So again, weeks, not months, but also not days.
Okay, the next question is if we have any big licenses this year, which I think you may have answered a couple times, but they're just asking if there's any major players coming. No names.
Absolutely tons. No, I mean that, sir. Guys, buckle in for the big reveal. Like, no. The way an announcement will be made is probably going to be via a press release in the future. We want to refrain from too much speculation. We've been guilty of putting little teases out on Twitter, and some we've gotten right, some we haven't gotten right. So that's kind of on us. But I think generally speaking, while we love the question, like, there just won't be an AMA where I give an answer that's definitive. And so I think the answer is yes. I think the answer is which ones and with specificity and what it will look like is kind of no. And it would just be not right for me to do that. But I think we're very pleased with the pipeline. I think it might be kind of unusual there are elements of it that might not be anticipated. But I would say what's coming from a drop perspective has me incredibly excited. Outside of that, though, no, I can't name specific, partnerships or licensors.
That are no longer in production, should there still be region restrictions?
Is that for the aftermarket?
Yeah, it sounds like it. I'm assuming that they're still being restricted by region. I didn't know that. I thought we fixed that.
So
Can
basically,
you add
there's people in like Europe and stuff that I think there's Disney restrictions or like the Cartoon Network restrictions. They can buy it on aftermarket, but they can't see it in albums.
Okay, that's a bug.
I can't see it in albums, you said?
So they
Yeah.
can buy it, but they don't know where it
Yeah,
goes.
it's theirs. They
No
can't
one
see it.
collects
Yeah.
It's there.
Gotcha. So I need to send
Totally. I
that.
got it. Yeah. That's a really good point. Let's add that to the list.
Yeah, I'll send that to Tim so he can look at it. Let's see. Any possibility of having 3D figure model type of collection again on Quidd? They seem to be pretty popular digital.
Yes.
What?
Next question. No, I mean, I think we like 3D for a reason that might not be accurate with certain communities' sort of negative accusations of us. We like 3D. We even like 3D of 2D, if you can follow. In that it gives you a wider range of ways to interact with your item. Pinch, zoom, pan, rotate. There's a whole series of ways to interact with, let's say, 2D and 3D that are far more true to the physical world, and frankly should be a right of ownership, right? To be able to really get close up and personal with your collectible or your NFT. So no, we love 3D, but I think we love it for different reasons. I would say. I would also add, just not so much as a sort of observation in the NFT space more than anything, but like there's a lot of stuff that isn't in a metaverse that's on chain, or isn't in a game that's on chain, that really isn't 2D and isn't interactive. I'm always amazed by the number of successful projects that are effectively a PNG, right? Or that are a video of a 3D object. That always makes my head scratch. Like, why would I want to buy a video of a 3D object? Like, I would really prefer the 3D object with a full range of interactivity. So I guess net, I mean, nothing specifically to share other than like, there's sort of a task force that's been developed on that front. There's a component of 3D in mintables to get around some post mint compatibility issues. But yeah, we're glad you love 3D. We may love it for slightly different reasons, but it's still a priority nonetheless.
There's another question along with that said, apart from some of that stuff, can we do short clips of videos such as an Egg4 and audio items? You might have mentioned that in the past.
Yeah, it's all. I mean, to open up the hood. I mean, would we like Justin Roiland doing the voice of Rick Sanchez on an animated 3D figure of Rick from Rick and Morty, dancing, that we sold in 2017? Would that be even cooler if there was a way to interact with the figure and produce voice? Absolutely. Right. I would say, though, just to open like the curtain on some of this stuff, is that's not a creative constraint. That we all know that's amazing to create. It's kind of more of a legal constraint, and that being able to work in audio, video, particularly audio that's provided by like a voice actor. Those are just sort of like hurdles that exist. They're not insurmountable, but they exist. But just to give a shout out to Quidd and who we are and why we exist. We started before NFTs existed. We were all about collectibles because we believed that a digital collectible was a better format for collecting than a physical collectible. And that was largely based on the fact that code as a medium to make just something cool was far better than cardboard, right? Think of what a manufacturing press that has plastic poured into it can produce in terms of a cool collectible, right? That's limited. Think of what putting like dried whatever paper or pulp into a printing press to make a piece of cardboard, right? It's cool, but as a format, that is not that cool, right? Especially in 2022, right? But if a collectible had all the creative flexibilities of audio, video, and was effectively a piece of code, right? A piece of code. Think of like generative NFTs now. That's really cool. So, yeah, like I would say just know that when it comes to these like formats and like what a collectible is, we largely got into this space because of very strong convictions more than half a decade ago that kind of cardboard and plastic was boring, right? And I think we're going to wind up on the right end of that bet. And I think you're going to see some pretty cool things from us where the collectible is made of code and not cardboard. And that's pretty non-trivial. Okay, cool.
Okay. We have a lot of questions about IR. Do we have any update on that?
We need to do a separate IR thingy.
Okay.
I can't, here's what I would say, and this is very, very candid. We want to come in guns a-blazing, fully prepared with real milestones, then have me do hand waving. It's really that simple. So let us get more of the plan in a consumable format, and then we'll do a separate standalone on that. Also, it's not going to be me. There's a separate team doing IR that knows it far more deeply than I do. So better to hear from the source.
True. Had a very long one, but it basically is for seasons going forward. When a season ends, can all of the sets for that season migrate to a main channel? For some channels, such as Smurfs, they have content that I enjoy, but using them in text will be difficult since you'll have to find each individual season. Finding the sets will be quite tricky.
Oh.
So since seasons are being...
The app's not... The way our inventory system works isn't great for that today. It's not impossible for us to unite that. It's not impossible for us to create a mega brand that is an umbrella construct over multiple seasons that share that same brand. That's not impossible. I would argue the bigger challenge for what we have is the need to actually categorize and tag individual items. I can't see all my Ned Stark Game of Thrones cards in one album, whether it's custom made or it's done by tags because every item has a series of attributes associated with them. That's a thing that perhaps we might solve sooner than having a mega brand that unites different seasons. But again, I will say, like, if there's not something that alludes to that on the roadmap, it likely won't happen. I would say, however, we are very aware that there's a deeper need, almost like librarians who inherited a messy pile of books. There's a deep need to sort of add some underlying things that you won't see to how we categorize. I mean, it's like 80 or 90,000 individual pieces of art. There's a deep need to better understand each of those pieces and its attributes and its metadata, and then from that comes almost an infinite series of possibilities. I've always wanted an album that was across brands definitely of interest. So I think what I would say is I think the strict high they're unique items.
Will we be seeing more profile customization?
Not until later this year, much later. The idea of running a business almost on your identity in Quidd is a little bit too far out. Obviously, like the financial rails are there as sort of a semi-professional collector. You can buy and sell in USD. You can cash out, if you're eligible, on a weekly basis. I get giddy every Friday when we wire more real money to our collectors via PayPal. That's the most rewarding part of what we do. But we're not quite there. And so like identity customization kind of for us is like storefront customization. And that'll probably be taken later on in the year. Now I know there's a whole different bent of that's more of like identity and sharing and all that. And if you guys really want shelfies back, I can make some phone calls.
No, we're good.
That was a joke.
No.
That was a joke. That was a joke, Spider.
No.
No.
Totally not.
I will protest. Okay. In an early AMA, we discussed bundling, complete set listings, building your own packs, and other similar concepts. I'm curious if any of those are being developed or are likely to be developed. If any are in the works and along the road, could we see them?
And this would be the bundling of items into a single sale.
I'm assuming the bundling and then complete set listings, building your own packs.
Oh yeah. Okay, so it's not. Okay, here's what I'll say. It's not Q2. It's a bummer. It's not Q2. But here's what I would say is the call for that feature, I think, is originated from a problem. And it's a problem that we fully inherited, which is like any baseball card collection, you're going to have a lot of low value items. You're just going to have this filler. And God forbid Quidd ever had a finite number of slots in your collection, right? But there's just a considerable amount of inventory that doesn't hold the same weight and measure of larger inventory, right? And we think about that a lot. That's not a productive use of the collectible, right? Our collectors would be far better off if they could get liquidity, sell that, and be able to cycle that into buying something that might be of higher value, right? And I'll be honest. I mean, there's extremely valuable low print count items on Quidd. There's extremely valuable one-of-one items on Quidd, or I should say prints on Quidd. But there's also a lot of 3rd edition, 4th edition, 5th edition. There's also a lot of high print count 1st edition, right? That's just not going to move on a single transaction basis and isn't worth your time to list it for 10 cents, right? We totally get it. The first step there was burning, which was supposed to be a sneak peek for tonight, but is 3 weeks away. I think I just made a bunch of enemies out of our engineering team. It's close. It looks cool. It's really cool. I think it totally changes Quidd. But that is one way to address the medium value or low value inventory problem, right? Of getting liquidity from like a number 150,000 out of 200,000 Mr. Beast sticker from 2017, right? RIP Mr. Beast, whatever. But there are other ways to skin that cat. There are other ways to solve that problem. One of which is either a complete set sale or a bulk sale. And what is really compelling about a bulk sale is there's actually 1,000 different ways you can make a bulk sale really, really interesting. So I guess the net of it is, I think it's a little bit like the the Burger Wars question, which is, will we see more of this, or will you enable this in the future? The only guarantee I can give about it is my enthusiasm, both for the problem and knowing it's a problem, and for like how cool the solution would be. So bulk sales and full and complete set sales, even like put a whole channel into a box and sell it. I do not see that coming by June 30th. I do not see that coming by June 30th. But I would love to see it come. And that desire to see it come, I think, will keep it from further delay beyond that.
This was kind of in the product retrospective November 2021 post on Quidd Medium. It was stated that you are sending a monkey to space and back. However, nothing related to that has ever happened. Can you tell us more about this?
That's ridiculous. We had the whole team work between Christmas and between New Year's Eve. In fact, we did a very small mini sprint on the 29th, the 30th, and 31st in order to meet our commitment to get mintables out. Now, look, we made promises, half we've kept, half we haven't. That was one that was very, very meaningful. So what we meant by that is the first mint. The first mint has happened. I made the first mint. It's on chain. Check Etherscan. It's on OpenSea. A card back needs to appear, right? But it's there. There is the smart contract. You can look it up. So I don't mean to be kind of aggressive about it, other than the fact that we had a whole team working over the holidays in order to make sure that the first mint, a real NFT, to make sure that happened before the end of the year. So again, it is a totally good question. I'm so sorry to come out kind of aggressively on the question. That like whoever asked it, like, oh my God, I love you. I'm so sorry. The fact that you read deeply into those Medium posts, oh my God, I love you. Whoever you are, 100 store credits or something. Like, please let me make it up to you. The only reason I responded simply because there was a ton of effort that went into it, right? But I love you for the fact that you read deeply into those posts, and that was really what we were implying. Is it's not a trivial moment, right? It's not. I mean, there are other solutions out there that are entirely centralized and only track receipts on the blockchain. Okay, where it's literally 99% centralized. There are experiences that sit somewhere in between that has this notion of sort of a custodial wallet, where it's like, well, we're going to hold it on your behalf. It's on chain, but we still control your access to it, right? Is that real, true digital ownership? Maybe not really, if you double tap on it. So the idea of sending a monkey to space and back was actually around liberating an item that's stored centrally on our AWS servers and giving you the ability to sort of take it to space, and if you want, keep it in space. And kind of the cool thing about space and Earth is, like, if it's far away in space, Earth can't come and touch it and mess with it, right? The other component of that metaphor of like going to space and back is we haven't released it, but we can unmint. You can mint and unmint. It's not copying. It's not duplicating. It's literally exploded and deleted on our end, and then it appears on chain. And you can undo that. So the idea of a monkey to space and back really was meant to memorialize, hey, this is, I don't think anyone else is doing it this way. So it's a first of its kind event, right? The monkey as opposed to a human was more of like, I guess I'm the monkey, right? Which is, we kind of want to not put something very valuable in the space capsule, right? Like, meaning we don't want to necessarily put like all our community in the space capsule. And then the idea of it goes to space and back is a really important point that no one's picked up on yet, which is that you can mint and unmint. It makes Quidd basically a hub and spoke model, where the end of the spokes can be various chains. And for us, that really is true digital ownership. That's digital property rights, right? Why buy something and have it constrained to a single chain, right? Why not be able to move it from chain to chain? So anyway, whoever asked that question, oh my God, I love you. Like, let's hang out. I'm sorry I came off aggressively. It's really just the team, like, it felt obligated to not deliver on that one. And then the really bad metaphor was really just about like a monkey to space, was sort of like, it wasn't like, hey, we got Planet of the Apes or anything like that, right? It was much more of like, hey, that event in history was the first of its kind. Somebody came back, a low value, object went up and back. And I don't mean Donna Bailey. I mean the fact that it was my account, and that it came back to Earth safely. That's really what we meant by that. But I guess what I would say, to extend a really bad metaphor, is I think, again, we're weeks, not days, but weeks and not months away from Mintable's general availability. We're talking about effectively putting every person on Quidd that has a Mintable into their own rocket, and they can go to space. And if they want, they can never come back, right? But we've given them that option. And so the next step for Mintables is, it's not one controlled launch with me as the monkey in the capsule. It's, you all have your own rockets, and you guys do what you want to do.
Moving on, I saw we were advised to save our third coin to cash conversion for the final day of coin, March 31st. Will we still be able to convert on April 1st? If not, I'm concerned if anyone tries to convert at 11:59. I kind of just want to know what the exact time is, and it's going to stop being able to be used.
Spider, let's follow up on that. I don't think the exact precise time on like the calendar or the clock has been determined. Obviously it's the day, but the time hasn't. I think what is the right thing to do there is let's follow up and let's put a message out, maybe as a policy on intercom.
Okay.
Right. They can just make it very crisp and clear when that's going to happen.
Post it everywhere so everybody can see it.
Yeah, and then also I think the important thing too is let's remind them, right? Everyone has busy lives. There's 1,000 things going on. For me, Quidd is my escape, and I love it. Oftentimes you can forget the Quidd calendar in terms of the real life calendar. So let's, Spider, just make a note that there needs to be a countdown clock, so to speak, to make sure that people that have accumulated those coins are able to convert them, because they deserve to.
Part of that question was users are curious about what will happen to coin packs after the 31st. Will it be a gradual process? Each pack has to be manually changed.
We'll probably take old packs and convert them. But again, nothing definitive there, unfortunately.
Will it be gradual, or is it going to all happen at once?
I wish I knew. No, I think the we love our community, and sometimes we hate to pull down the curtain a little bit, but like the answer is like we're still figuring it out, and that's the God's truth to that. But I think what we should do, Jules, and hold ourselves to is probably March 1st. We should start a bit of an awareness campaign that's a bit drip, 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 right? So there are enough sufficient reminders that are made over those 31 days. Again, not to leave anybody out in the cold. And also, if you could make a note, like let's make sure that involves email. And also, I'm just talking to the community. I mean, you guys all know our OGs, right? There are a lot of OGs that we know, certainly ones I could name. Some I've even met in person, that have been on hiatus and probably have very substantial coin wallets and probably have, more than anything, incredible collections. I think a good impetus to reach back out to our friends online or in Facebook or the other chats, or maybe it's gone dormant for a couple of years. A good milestone to do that is around this date. They deserve the coin conversion. And so it's kind of a call to arms for you, not us, to help us to make sure that people get what they deserve. That sounds like a threat, which is kind of scary, but it basically means like we may have OG collectors that sit in a substantial number of coins that they purchased years ago, and they're deserving of a switch, and we should get to them before the 31st, not afterwards.
With burning, will we be strictly throwing your items away forever, or will you get something in return?
You'll get store credits in return. Next question.
Taking a note. It was mentioned at the last AMA that new TOS were being released to clarify actions. When can we expect that?
Yes. Privacy policy, we will not go beyond this week. I shouldn't say privacy policy. We will not go beyond this week. We will commit to Friday midnight. Spider, please keep me honest on this.
Okay.
Till Friday midnight to have an update on some of the key policies around intercom. Key policies around operations, community, withdrawals. Withdrawals is already like baked into the product. That just should not really be much of a question. Like we literally spent a whole sprint making withdrawal scale, which was longer than like a month, designed to make it incredibly understandable about the steps that you have to take, whether it's the account age or whether it's KYC, be AML compliant. So like that we're good about. But there are things around taxes, around community guidelines that we need to clarify. So I don't anticipate a TOS update by Friday, but I think we can get from legal the kind of output and post that to Intercom Spider by Friday night.
Thank you. Let's see. If I'm out of conversions, what will happen to my coin? It's just out.
It will go away.
Disappear altogether?
That is what I'm told to say. I mean that kind of jokingly. No, that's what we're going to do.
Okay.
Spend them.
There's some questions on here we've already covered, so I'm trying to go through them. Will we be able to view multiple items at once in AR? Can collectibles also be used as avatars in other metaverses? This was related to Interstellar Realty. Sorry. They wanted to know if those would be an augmented reality, so I guess we'll hold off on that one too, since we wait for.
I'm gonna hold off on the AR piece. It's a super interesting topic. The compatibility component with metaverses. That is fascinating. What I would say is there's hard work that has to go into it. It's not unfortunately a process of once it's on the blockchain that it's infinitely compatible with infinite experiences. There's quite a bit of technical work in future proofing, whether it's supporting formats and standards that are widely accepted, like certain file formats, whether it's future proofing the mint so that with it comes media that's playable in different environments. I guess what I would say is I don't think that we've made too many overt promises about an interoperability, happy world, right? And it's in large part because we respect that it's a lot of hard work that has to go into guaranteeing compatibility, right? In some cases, like an NFT could be a VHS, but the places you want to take it to represent like a beta video player or a CD player or a DVD player or a streaming service. Right? You just might have problems putting that format into that player, to use a really bad analogy. And what I would say is we take all that stuff incredibly seriously, because we also take the idea of digital property rights and true digital ownership very seriously. And so that's all a possibility. I would say I think more of a probability, because we have a utmost respect for almost the engineering work that has to go in to make that happen. The good news is a lot of the on-chain metaverses obviously are working with technical standards. They've all got APIs, or they all exist mostly on-chain. And so it's not impossible. In fact, it's very probable. In fact, it's in the works, right? I'm just trying to articulate that I think there might be others that would say some glittering generality about you'll be able to do this and this and this, and that's fine, and you will be, and you should be able to. But we're really very focused on the technical ins and outs of ensuring this works perfectly, then that works perfectly, then that works perfectly. So to answer the question, theoretically, absolutely, right? But practically, in a way that's incredibly smooth, that you would expect, that's where we're in the trenches on, but making good progress.
And that kind of ties in with the amount of packs that we have to fix in the client channel and other ones that don't have packs in them. So we probably need to get those done soon for the coins.
Yeah, that let's make that part of like the March 31st or March 1st to 31st countdown.
Okay.
Splitter. And if we could we do just one more? Is there any?
There is
one more we could do.
One more I can ask. I was actually just going to say that we only had one more. So the rest are all questions that I can probably answer without you. So
Perfect. Perfect.
Although it's not included on the 2022 roadmap, are there any plans to build a messaging function or message center on the web market?
Oh, that's there. That's there. We wouldn't. You could. Sorry, my earpiece fell out. Yeah, you can see it in Message Center. That's listed there. It might be in the marketplace or the apps stream, but there's definitely like a mid-year Message Center, what we call on the engineering side Epic, that is so important that it's got to be implemented across both clients, right? We got to put it on iOS, Android, and the web concurrently, because what we've noticed from a data perspective is there are so many cool things that you're doing and that others are doing that are related to you and your items, whether it's sales or wishes or following or even sales activity related to items that you hold in your collection, right? That's kind of a second leap. There's, from the data we see, there's so much incredible number of connections happening and interesting things that we feel we should work on your behalf to surface to you about your collection, about fandoms you care about other collectors you care about, that it warrants a pretty big epic that can aggregate that all into a very tidy message center that would not to engineering's going to hate me, but you might actually see it rear its beautiful head on the web first. So what I would say generally to that question is message centers is a fundamental way to help you collect better and be more efficient with your time and get more transparency to this incredibly exciting activity happening in a current black box. And we wouldn't do it unless it would be web and native mobile app at the same time. Cool. Are we good?
I think so. That was all I have for you.
All right. I love you guys. We'll talk soon.
Thank you for joining.
Thank you guys. Bye.
Bye. Okay. So I have some questions on that I don't think Michael necessarily needed to answer because it's not really his area, so he wouldn't have probably known anyway. But I'll look through the questions you guys put in the questions chat and see what ones I can answer. As Lover said, will we get our remaining coins automatically converted to cash? And he pretty much answered that won't happen. Winston Wolf asked about recollect checklists. We're working on those. As far as your other questions, that has to go to a different department that can answer them. So let's see. Are you still on, EHM?
I'm still here.
Ben's asked a bajillion questions in his huge book like JR's. Basically wants physical signed jersey with the seasons, I guess. Is that happening here? Sports channels. Plans to include physical items. I don't know, and I can find out though. Might be a good idea. Like it. Are we ever going to get free packs? Probably. I would assume yes. Such a mess. The backdrops that need to be fixed for Android. Are yours still messed up?
Yeah, they're I don't know what they are. There's a new one that popped up that's like really poorly drawn face.
I just don't even understand how these things happen. It's so strange.
Is that is that a Tim thing? Is he just messing with us?
No. Although it'd be really funny if he was.
Because isn't he like uses Android? I know that. Was that like his little thing of like mess? I feel like that's him messing with us.
It could be. I mean, it's very possible he could be doing it on purpose. I'll probably ask him and he'll go, I have no idea what's going on there, and he'll figure it out. But I mean, it would be better if he were just to say, yeah, I did it on purpose because it's funny. I like that. After time, I don't think they even know what's going on until we report it, and then they're like, oh, wow, how did that happen?
Yep. Look in the chat. That's one of the backgrounds.
Oh, good Lord. I want to know who drew it. It looks like something Tim would draw, so. Oh, and you still got that creepy one with all the ghosts, whatever that is, the shadow people.
Yeah, we still have that too.
I don't have
Yeah.
that one. I really want it too. That's not.
That's I think it's an Android thing.
It's not being done on purpose, Muffin. I was joking. It's totally not on purpose. It's just more than likely something that happened when they were testing in the other. Because we have two. We have the place we work daily. It's our system that everybody uses. Then there's a testing version, and it must have caused some issue somewhere that had this happen. I don't think that it was done on purpose, though, at all. He wouldn't do something like it. Just wouldn't happen, even though it's.
Can you do you have the ability to unlock that set that JD posted?
Oh,
Filler sold out, and after filler sold out the first time, it never got fixed.
oh, I see. Yeah, I can fix it. Yeah, I know there's a lot of Trek sets that are messed up, and there's a lot of yeah, the black and white ones are gone for iOS too. By the way, we don't have them either. Yeah, I can probably fix it. I'll try to look at it after we get done. If not, I'll get it in the morning since it's 9:30 my time, and I'm like old and want to go to sleep soon. So I've been saying it for months. I know. I was told someone else was doing it, so I didn't have to do it, and then they didn't do it, so now I need to do it, and I'm just gonna do it. That's fine. Okay. I asked about. Okay, it's from the Ashes about the Valiant season, and it's yeah. I'll talk to them about that. I don't know what's going on with it. Why there's part 1 and not part 2, and part 2, and I don't know what's all happening with that. But I will send that comment over to the person in charge of this and see what they say. And as Winston Wolf asked about opening packs, if we were going to bring some fun back to collecting new content. Tiered sets were always a thrill when you pulled. Yeah, we were just actually talking about this yesterday. So tiered sets will be coming back soon. So that's something. I don't know if that's fun for everyone, but that's coming back. What's being posted. Christmas prizes. This is my fault. I have to do that. So quit yelling at me. Read about music collection. I want to do that. We need like all the coolest bands there are, and then like little clips that play their songs. Wouldn't that be neat?
That'd be. I wonder how. Yeah, but could you imagine the price of licensing for that?
Yeah, but still, it'd be worth it. Can you imagine how much people would? I would spend a fortune on. They got like some.
Oh yeah, 100%. Even if I didn't like the band,
Exactly.
I'd still buy them.
Exactly. Imagine like even just some doors, like doors set that each one played like just a little clip from a song. Be all over that. I'd spend all my money. I don't think Shell 57 asked about an account being treated as burned. I don't think they're going to change. They're not going to let us take it and put it anywhere, regardless of whether it's sold for charity. I just don't think that he wants to touch it. It's just because people have spent money on their accounts, even with their permission, taking it and getting rid of it just seems like something he just isn't really comfortable doing.
Can you do a follow up on that? Maybe not banned accounts, but what about alts? Maybe not taking from, say, the main account that where they put money, but like the alts that were created that some they may not have much, but can they do anything with those at least?
I can find out. I can adults. I mean,
Because then that's like a happy medium.
Yeah.
Because it's like it does suck that there's stuff stuck there, but like people created alts, and there's like it may not be the best stuff, but it's still something.
true. Any new employee or EHM be able to keep sets fixed in the well, I mean, to be fair, I was supposed to be doing that from the go, and then I got kind of sent all over the place and never really was able to just concentrate on that. So at this point, I'm just gonna go like word when you just totally go off on your own. Or like when you're not following the rules and you're just doing whatever you want. I'm gonna do that because why not? It'll.
That's how you're supposed to. That's how you're supposed to actually do your
That's
job.
it. Okay, well then I'm I guess gonna do my job now.
Yeah.
I thought I was doing my job, but yeah, part of my job is now.
You do action and ask for forgiveness later, or you just don't say anything. You just fix it, and they won't even notice.
I think that's a good plan for doing that. So I will start working on those tomorrow. But I do have, unfortunately, a lot of other things that they expect me to do. I don't know why. They just seem to think that if they pay me, that I'll do stuff they want me to do. But I mean, I'll do other stuff too. It's totally cool. I don't think I missed anything else. The interstellar stuff we already covered. How minting works. I think we covered that. Or if there's any other questions in that I didn't see. I think I covered everything though that was in that.
Yeah, I believe so. Because Michael kind of he combined some of the questions because like some of the other questions people had, he kind of touched on those as well.
Yeah, so I tried to go through and anything that was coming up while he was talking, I was trying to ask first just to keep us on that topic. But I think I covered everything, unless I didn't. If I missed, oh, hip clip keychains were freaking cool. Oh my god, I loved those things. I had so many. I used to live across the street from, or like across the parking lot from the mall, and I would just walk to the mall every day and buy new hit clips. I've still got it somewhere, and it still worked last time I saw it. I had so many of those things. Quidd Lab sets. I'd love to see more Quidd Lab sets. Honestly, that's my favorite channel next to track. So if I missed questions, please throw them in there now and I'll answer them. If not, I'm going to go to bed soon. I've been up since like 7, so it's time for me to go to bed. Especially if you expect me to work tomorrow. Ambassador update?
And ambassadors.
Yeah.
That's on us.
I know. I've been actually telling EHM that we're going to add all the ambassadors, and it's been going on for days now because every time I'm like, okay, let's add all of our new ambassadors. And then I'm like, hold on, I have 5 meetings. So I'll be back. And then it's like, hours later. And by the time I get back, I'm in bed. So it's my fault. It really is. Okay. You really think I'm going to just give away my whole channel? No, not I had a lot of stuff completed when I did in mods, and I stopped collecting then. But I was pretty much complete on the whole app at that point. Since then, though, everything's gone nuts. I couldn't even think of completing, but I had Quidd completed at one point, 100%. I was so proud. Picture, and I don't know. That's a good question.
Do you want to do more? Saber asked about coin giveaways. I don't. Should we start coin giveaways up again, or should we do because I know at one point we were doing cash giveaways. Like a weekly cash.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we could do coin giveaways if people want coins before they go away. I don't know about 4 million coins, but coin giveaways would be pretty cool. I had Trek completed until the stupid hypers came out. Okay, so that just ticks me out. Anyway, we could do a couple of coin giveaways and be fine with me.
Okay. Should we do them daily or weekly?
Why don't we do them daily
Okay.
until we can't do them anymore, and then we'll move to weekly cash giveaways.
Okay. That's easy enough.
Yeah, I just totally said yes and didn't even. I've gone nuts.
I mean, that's how they started initially. We're just like, we should do this, and you're like, yeah, okay.
I think it works much better for me just to do whatever I want.
I'm telling you, it's got me far at work. I just do whatever I want to.
Unfortunately, then I still have to do the other stuff they want me to do, or else then I get in trouble. So it's just I got to find the time to do it all.
Never sleep.
Yeah, I didn't used to. I mean, for the first couple of years, I didn't sleep at all. I mean, everybody who knew me knew I was pretty much online answering questions at all hours of the day and night. And I don't think I slept for like a year, other than maybe a couple hours here and there on my desk usually. So prizes, yeah, I need to distribute the prizes, the cash, whatever. That's on me.
What about for the trivia? If they have conversions, we do coins and just do a coin equivalent to what we had discussed for the prizes for the trivia.
You could do that. I mean, that would work as long as everybody else was okay with it.
Because I mean, I know I can give away coins. I don't touch cash.
Yeah.
That's a you thing.
Yeah. Well, I think the last couple times I tried to do the awards for cash, system was broken and wouldn't let me, which is why I got kind of behind. Same thing with the transferring of items. At one point, it was broken too, so I couldn't do anything there. But if you're doing coins, that would be totally fine. If everybody's okay with that.
Yeah,
I mean, they can still convert it to cash, but they might want to wait until, right before the end deadline. Not waste a convert.
Yeah.
And I mean, even when I give away cash, though, it's a credit. It's regardless, it's a credit or the other.
Right.
Coins are cool. Well, cool. Yeah, if you want to do that, go ahead. Takes more off of me.
Yeah, I'll check with them. I'll just to make sure, because I mean, like, I want to be fair. If any of the winners don't have a conversion left,
yeah, that's
we could be like, okay, you can have a cash credit. We could do that.
Mm-hmm. That would work, and that'd be easier because then I won't have as many people to go through. Since it used to be set up.
And Winston, I know won. That's why he's asking. I think he won both of them.
Oh well, yeah, I think so too. I remember.
I think he won both of them.
I remember seeing his name on there. Yeah, so that'd totally be fine. We used to be able to do it in bulk. Like I could put all the names into one screen and then come out and just hit, send or whatever, and it would just give everybody what they needed. But lately, I don't know what's going on with it. If it's because of the cash thing, if it's the system up or what. But now I'd have to do it individually, which is.
Well, I've noticed they've changed it a bit. I noticed the layout has it looks a little bit different, so I know they've been working on it a bit.
Yeah, there's been a lot of different new features added that I'm able to do different things too. So that, like the whole reset the KYC, that's new. I didn't used to be able to do that. So new things get added constantly, which is cool. Now, if they just make it easier for me to put new packs out, if I could just button, I could get that all done super fast. Or make megas or whatever. Chat, yeah. I'll be up till like 2 a.m, and I'll be over here asleep in 5 minutes. So DHM by myself. It's be the only one awake.
Probably.
I'll have to do our fun Quidcast that we've never done.
Get some suggestions.
I haven't read them.
But I have some ideas. So
Well, you're supposed to set this stuff up and tell me what we're doing because I'm completely useless. I don't know why they don't automatically convert coins to cash. I said they should. I've been trying to convince them that they should, but I was told no.
do you know why they won't?
I have no idea.
Because it was told there were. I'll tell you. It was told there were 3. It showed there were 3 on there, and I know in one of the AMAs Michael had mentioned it kind of hits a gray area, and there's going to be people who have been saving it for the last day, and it wouldn't be essentially fair to them. So all the ones who saved it, it would basically have 4, whereas they're saving it till the very end.
That's a good point. And that's why they're not really going to add another one. I don't understand why it wasn't just an automatic thing, though, for everyone at midnight. But I don't have a clue. Maybe it's just not possible for them to do it that way. Maybe the system's not set up for that. I have no idea. Just what we were told, that it wasn't doing it that way. Yeah, that's a good point. Because old accounts with coins would all of a sudden have cash. Yeah, that makes sense. I don't know. Michael likes to be coy just for fun sometimes. It's just a Michael thing.
Mm-hmm.
Michaelisms. I've come to know them well. Never thought it.
There should be a set for that.
Michaelisms? Oh, there totally should be. Oh,
The things Michael says.
he's got quite a few, and it's always funny being in meetings with him.
We need a Michael. Yeah, we need a Michael meme set. Like the Golden Girls sets where it just has his head and then the quote that he says.
That would be funny. He kind of reminds some of us of Michael from The Office.
100%.
Yeah, he's funny. He's very funny. Definitely a fun guy. So he does have his isms though, for sure. And I'd totally buy a set of his Golden Girls as Michael as the Golden Girls. Michael in The Office. It could be an Office set, but Michael Office with our Michael instead of the other Michael. That'd be great. I think we should do that. Speaking of Michael, his message. Be like, listen, am I going to get in trouble? Anything. Have we stopped the recording?
No, I haven't. I can.
You probably can now because I think I answered pretty much everything. And now I'm just making fun of Michael, so probably not the best thing to have out there. I'm just kidding.
I'll stop it.
I do